We are talking about central angles for pie charts. What does that mean? Well, pie charts are these circle charts that have little wedges to represent different pieces of data. So here's a chart that represents the population of the world, and the population of the United States is this pink wedge right here. And the question is, how did this chart maker know what angle to make this wedge, how big to make the wedge? We need to know something about central angles and circles to do this. Um, if you have a central angle, that means it starts at the center of the circle. That's where the vertex is, and then it goes out and intersects the edge of the circle here in a couple places. The angle, the number of degrees here, let's say this is 45, is going to be the same number of arc degrees here. So 45 degrees of the circle. And a whole circle is 360. So to get the number of degrees for this central angle, what you're going to do is find either a percentage or a fraction or a decimal that represents the part, how much the part is of the whole, and then multiply that by 360 degrees. Let me show you how that works with this one. In this problem, it says the table below shows a family's monthly budget: food $500, housing $650, and other $600. If you're making a circle graph to display the information, what would be the measure of the central angle for the section representing housing? Okay, so housing is $650. We want to ask out of what? What's the whole here? And the whole would be all of these added together. So 500 plus 650 would be 1150, plus 600 would be 1750. So if we want to represent this housing as a fraction of the whole, we'd say 650 over 1750. That's the fraction that we're going to multiply by the number of degrees in a circle. So this problem comes down to 650 divided by 1750 times 360. Let's try that on our calculator. So 650 divided by 1750 and then times 360. And we get 133.7. Let's call that 134. Oh, and this one's multiple choice, so we have the answer down here. The only thing I would say to do before you accept this as the answer is to look back at the problem and ask yourself, does it make sense? 134, well, it's a little bit more than a third of a circle. 120 degrees would be a third of the way around the circle. So this is a little bit more than a third. Does 650 seem like a little bit more than a third of this whole thing? Well, yeah, we have a $500 item, a $600 item. So this is a little bit more than a third of the whole thing. That all makes sense. Let's try another couple problems. This one here says a survey about the art program at a school found that 240 students wanted an after-school art program, 300 students wanted art classes during the day, and 60 students thought the school should have no art program. If a circle graph were made from this data, what would be the measure of the central angle of the after-school group? Okay, well, the people who wanted after school, there were 240 of them. So we want to, again, create a fraction of this part out of the whole. So the 240 is going to be on top. And the whole here would be 240 plus 60, that's 300, plus 300, that's 600. And then we're going to multiply that by the number of degrees in a circle, 360. So let's pull out our calculator on this one. So we've got 240 divided by 600, and then multiply that by 360. And we get 144 degrees for that central angle. And again, that's more than a third. It's less than half. It's getting a little bit closer to half. So 240 out of 600. Yeah, that seems to fit in there. Half would be 300. A third would be 200. So it's somewhere in between. So that seems like a reasonable answer. All right, let's look at this next one. We've got a pie chart already made here, and it says the number of hours required in each subject of a college core curriculum is represented by the circle graph below. Okay, so in this college, you have to take 14 hours of art and 8 hours of math, etc. What percent of these hours is in math and English combined? So they want math and English combined. Well, let's add up those hours. 7 plus 8 would be 15. That's number of hours in math and English combined. And let's find the whole here. So that's 15 plus 14 would be 29. That'd be plus 5 would be 34. Plus 11 would be 45. I think I got that right. Might want to check my math. But 15 out of 45 is the number of hours uh, of math and English compared to the whole. So to find a percent here, we just divide this. So 15 divided by 45. And that is 0.3 repeating, or 1/3. And to convert that to a percent, we just move the decimal by 2, and we get 33%. We'll just round it to the whole percent. So that is a little bit of work with finding central angles for pie charts.